Hello everyone, and a warm welcome from Visaman UK. I hope you guys have been keeping well. So, this video is about getting from a work visa in the UK to a UK settlement. Now, I get a lot of questions on a regular basis about people accepting work visas, or people about to get into the UK, or people who are already in the UK and approaching the end of their leaves, or are in the middle of their leaves and have started to think about UK settlement. Now, what I believe is that one needs to think about UK settlement. If the UK settlement is your goal of coming to the UK, which for most people is the case anyway, then you need to think about settlement right from the word go. It's the best way to do it. And this video is actually about planning for settlement or indefinite leave to remain. So I hope this will be helpful for a lot of you guys. Firstly, I have a little appeal for you guys, to all of my subscribers, current and future subscribers. See, I've been helping a lot of people out through this channel on a very regular basis. I try to help people out on an everyday basis. I've saved a lot of people from getting into fake jobs. I've helped a lot of people get visas directly or indirectly through my videos and through a lot of emails that I respond to. Now, this is your chance to kind of contribute back if possible, and it is a genuine request to all of you guys. Basically, YouTube has recently made some policy changes because of which they would be heavily restricting YouTube channels like mine, which have fewer than 1,000 subscribers. So YouTube channels which are fewer than 1,000 subscribers will be penalized. Basically, will be restricted. The monetization rather, will be stripped off the channel, and it will be a restrictive channel. So it will affect a lot of YouTubers like myself. And interestingly enough, out of all the YouTube channels that I run, this is the only channel which is going through this problem. And this is the channel that is closest to my heart, because this is what I love doing. This is what I love the most, helping other people out. I've faced a lot of visa problems in the past myself, and this is my way to give back to the society. And by this channel becoming a restrictive channel, I will be less motivated to spend more time producing future videos, and that is something that I definitely don't want this channel to go through. So please, my request for you guys is to recommend my channel to everybody you know, and to get me as many subscribers as possible. I'm not too far away from the 1,000 subscriber mark at this point, so even a subscriber or two that you're able to bring on board will be a big favor to me, and I will continue helping you guys out, and I'll continue urging you guys to email me with any problem that you're facing, any situation that you need help with in terms of visas and immigration, and I will try my level best. I always have, and I will continue to do so. So please consider that, and let's move on to the topic of discussion for this video. So who is this video relevant for? So as I said, the aim of this video is to make people think about settlement from the word go. So people outside the UK who've got a genuine job offer from a UK company, that's whom this video is actually aimed for. Obviously, it applies to people already in the UK with genuine visas as well. So your first dilemma would be, if you have a choice, obviously, to choose between Tier 2 General or Tier 2 ICT. Now, the difference between Tier 2 General and ICT has been covered in a previous video, which obviously if you are a subscriber you would know. So I urge you to go back to that video if that is unclear. But the obvious winner is Tier 2 General. That is what you have to choose, because the Tier 2 General visa route is a direct route, the easiest route, should I say, to getting an indefinite leave to remain or an ILR. And I always urge people to choose Tier 2 General rather than Tier 2 ICT, because Tier 2 ICT can sometimes have higher pays, but Tier 2 General is the only effective way in terms of sponsorship these days to get to an ILR. So it is very important to choose Tier 2 General instead of Tier 2 ICT if you have been given a choice and you're thinking about which one to choose. Obviously, Tier 2 ICT is applicable only if your company that's sponsoring you is already in your country and in the UK as well. So it's an intra-company transfer visa, obviously. But yes, again, if you are unclear about the difference between the two visas, I do urge you to go through that video that I just referred to. So what if you have already chosen Tier 2 ICT, or the Tier 2 ICT visa was chosen for you as the only way you could come to the UK? What will happen then? So you have a maximum of 5 years and 1 month to either convince your employer to try and switch you over to Tier 2 General, which again will not be possible in the UK. Or while you're in the UK, you have to look for another job, obviously also stating your experience from your existing employer was put you on a Tier 2 ICT, and get a Tier 2 General visa from your new employer. Okay, so if Tier 2 ICT is your only way to come into the UK, come to the UK through a Tier 2 ICT and get a bit of experience. Don't obviously start jumping about straight away, because it will not have a good produce a good impact on your CV. You'll come across as unstable. So spend some time with your current employer and your current job, and then when the time is right, try to look for other employment opportunities with a Tier 2 General sponsorship. As I said, an indefinite leave to remain is not possible with a Tier 2 ICT, and a lot of the times a Tier 2 ICT visa would be restricted to contracts. See, what happens is, especially with a lot of IT and engineering corporations, they get a lot of Tier 2 ICT employees over to the country, and this is generally for a particular project that's ongoing. And once the project comes to an end, the Tier 2 ICT visa would come to an end as well. So you should keep that in mind. You should try and reason with yourself, okay, what is the length of my project? So before the project comes to an end, well before the project comes to an end, it will be good for me to look for another job while I'm in the UK and try and convince my new employer to choose the Tier 2 General route. So once my Tier 2 ICT comes to an end, I will go back to my country, serve the cooling off period, come back as a Tier 2 General migrant. So it's also important to know, in terms of, because we're discussing indefinite leaves to remain, that the cooling off periods present with Tier 2 ICTs are essentially reset periods for ILR. So that cannot be used as a basis to get your ILR, basically, because the whole point of a Tier 2 ICT is to restrict people to stay in the UK only till the length of the contract. So that's if you're stuck with a Tier 2 ICT. If you've been given the option of a Tier 2 General, that's great news. ILR will be possible in 5 years. So spend 5 years in the company. That would be my advice. Spend 5 years in the company that's recruited you, and then apply for an ILR. It is very important. It is extremely important to, once you're in the UK with a Tier 2 General job. Once you're here, it is very important to understand the difference between shortage occupancy jobs and regular jobs. Okay? Because shortage occupancy jobs have a lot of perks over regular jobs in terms of indefinite leaves to remain. If you have any doubts, feel free to email me about them and I will clarify them for you. But I would highly recommend that you do a good amount of research on shortage occupancy jobs, and if possible get your employer to switch you from a non-shortage occupancy to a shortage occupancy category in a tier 2 general. Believe me, in the long run, if you're on a shortage occupancy list job, it will help you towards your indefinite leave to remain. Unless, of course, you have a very high salary, which brings us to the next point, that you have to work towards the salary bracket you need to be eligible for your ILR. So the minimum requirement for an ILR is £35,000 unless you're in the shortage occupancy list job. So keeping all of that in mind, you have to understand that if your current employer is not complying with your need for an ILR, you have to switch your job in time. And also thinking about a resident labor market test is very important, because that will take some time as well. So if you are switching jobs, you have to understand that a resident labor market test will be applicable to you, and then that will take some time as well. So you shouldn't be waiting till the last couple of months of your current contract or your current visa sponsorship coming to an end to actually try and switch jobs. Do it well in advance. Keep a buffer of 4 or 5 months, and then do it so that, you know, the resident labor market test can be conducted smoothly, and your switch to your new employer who is willing to extend your sponsorship, give you the desired salary, etc., etc., the switch is smooth, the transition is smooth. Now, this is again a very interesting strategy. Consider that you're in the UK on a tier 2 ICT. Now, again, as explained in my video elaborating the difference between a tier 2 general and a tier 2 ICT, dependents are allowed to be brought in both categories, and dependents in both categories have unrestricted right of work. So as in, they don't need to be employed by a company that is on the registry of sponsors. They don't need to be sponsored again. They don't need to be on a particular salary range, etc., etc., and they can work full-time. So it is very important, if you have dependents, it is very important to be able to use your dependents wisely if you're on a tier 2 ICT. So if you are on a tier 2 ICT, you get another dependent along, an adult obviously, then what you can do is, and this is something that a lot of people do, get your dependent to get a job on a tier 2 general with a tier 2 general visa, and then switch over to become his or her dependent yourself. So you essentially go on from a tier 2 ICT main applicant to a tier 2 general dependent, and this switch, I can confirm, is possible in the UK. Okay, so this way, obviously, in terms of an indefinite leave to remain, your clock starts from 0. So the amount of time, so supposing you've spent an year and a half as a tier 2 ICT dependent, that will not count towards the 5-year period that you need to stay to be eligible for an indefinite leave. So once your wife or husband or partner who has gone on to a tier 2 general started working, you know, once he or she completes his or her 5 years, that is when you'll be eligible for an ILR. But it is still an easier route than going back to your home country and coming back as a tier 2 general applicant and starting afresh. This is still a lot easier, because obviously you also want to be in the country with your dependent, and this is the best way the dependent can contribute towards the success of the main applicant, or the family unit as I call it. Okay, so these were some of the questions that I'd always get asked, and I still do get asked on a regular basis. So I thought, you know, making a quick video on this would actually help a lot of you people out. So further on supporting this channel, there's also, as I explained in my previous video as well, there is a PayPal link to be able to contribute to this channel. If you want to contribute monetarily, you could do that now. I have a PayPal link provided just on your screen and on the description. Feel free to use that to help me out if you want to. But more importantly, as specified in the start of the video, recommend the channel, and it'll be highly appreciated if you can get me a few more subscribers, so that, you know, this channel doesn't go through any restrictions and I'm able to contribute to helping you guys out and answering your questions and producing useful content for you. Okay, I thank you all very much for your attention as always, and as always, if you like this content, feel free to share this video, like this video, and spread the word, and be awesome as always. Thank you very much.